Matrix. It's Carole Michaella, Desert Mermaid, stranded on the sands of sin and smoke here in shiny Las Vegas. And yes, I do miss my home, the Pacific Ocean. But my cosmic self has sent me down here on a mission to awaken and empower all of you. So stay tuned and savor the brew. Now let's power up.
Let's power up.
Hello, hello. It's Carole Michaella. And I just have some really cool stuff that we're going to go through today. Something that I think is just so amazing, what life could possibly be like on a third dimensional planet. And I want to quote, first of all, this gentleman I met years ago. People sort of gave him a nickname of Spaceman, but his name is Clint Carey, and he was an amazing artist, kind of a wild guy. But anyway, this is his quote. They had asked me if I would like to take a 2-day trip to their planet. I was not afraid. In fact, I was overwhelmed just having the sense of sheer elation. They told me that I would have to be blacked out first and have my balance and metaphysical vibration altered, somewhat like a deep-sea diver going into decompression chamber. I told them that I was perfectly willing to do this. And soon, the next thing I remember was being aboard the spaceship in this fantastically beautiful scene that has ever been my privilege to behold. So this is a quote from Clint Carey's book. He wrote 2 small books, and he didn't even write them, actually. He was very old at the time, and he had a friend that wanted to write this book. And so it's just called Clint Carey, the Spaceman of Ocean Beach, actually. And so I just, I always wondered about him. And, being that I'm a star child and what have you, I always wondered anyway about extraterrestrials from early childhood on. And so, but I did meet him a couple of times, and then the last time was just a few months before he passed away. And it's like, I don't know, really old looking. So he talked about this planet that is a fifth density planet. It's called Rillaspore. And he said that the Rillasporians are so fantastically beautiful that it almost knocked the breath right out of my body. The sheer beauty of these beings seemed to come from the expression in their eyes. I have never seen an expression like this here on Earth. It was an expression of complete and unadulterated love. They spoke to me not in audible words, but in the universal language of thought projection, of which all highly advanced beings on other planets use. I knew that they had the answers to my questions before I uttered a word. I also knew they could read my mind like an open book, as I was conversing back and forth through thought projection. I had the unusual feeling like I was in love the first time, but I was not in love with just one of them. I was in love with all 3 of them at the same time. These, were the 3 beings who appeared before him to take him on board their ship. They told me that they were from a distant planet called Rillaspore and that there were many light years away from Earth. I asked them how they could live long enough to make such a trip. They told me that their spaceship traveled millions of miles per second, and it only took them a few hours to make this fantastic journey. I told them that I thought nothing could travel faster than the speed of light, and I was flabbergasted when they told me that light does not travel at all, as it seemed to in our dimension. I've outgrown our concept of space and time eons ago. They said light is evolved by the principle of refraction, and it is a symbol of understanding and pure truth. They said that light only seems to travel in our dimension. You will know that light does not travel. It just is, I guess, in the higher dimensions. So light is considered the symbol of understanding, and there is no darkness there as we know it here, is what he says. Also, there is no such thing as time. Time seems to exist only in the lower dimensions, and space is merely the separation of an infinitude of ideas and concepts in the father mind. It has been said that this universe, unlike other universes, is based on light. Other universes are created by using another form of information as their central theme. Again, he says, they told me that all power on Realispore is generated by a principle of which is known as NTD, nuclear thermodynamics. It transposes and spreads rather than splits the atom. This power is used on Realispore for heating their planet and for all light, as there is no sun as we know it. This power regulates and thermostatically controls climate and rainfall, and is also used for powering their spaceships, locomotion, building, and thousands of other purposes on their planet requiring energy, which comes from this source. The craft that Clint Terry was transported on was over a mile in diameter and 800 feet through the center. It had 8 different levels or floors, and the top one, being the control room, was completely covered with some quartz-like glass material of an amethyst color. The walkways were paved with what looked like onyx, but when he stepped on this, it felt more like sponge rubber, that was laid out in this beautiful little city on board this incredible mothership. There were broad grass lawns, running brooks, beautiful waterfalls, designed sculptures, amazing fountains that sprouted gushers of spray with at least 12 different etheric colors, which seemed to permeate the very atmosphere itself. The atmosphere was much like Earth, but Clint said that he could breathe even better there. They had on board numbers of very exotic birds that flew all around. Some of these birds had a wingspan of 10 feet across. There were also animals there, and all of the animals had very kind and intelligent-looking faces. There were huge trees, some of them towering over 200 feet high with trunks 20 feet in diameter. He said that he felt like the prodigal son returning home, as they were all trying to speak to him at once through mental telepathy. They wanted to show him things and were very kind to him. He also mentioned that he had this strange experience, or that he had the strange experience when all of these thought forms and ideas came into his mind at the same time, as he had not yet learned how to segregate. So segregation of ideas is one of their highly developed arts. He said that on board they have smaller vehicles for transportation to the various levels of the ship. They were about 8 to 16 feet in length, these small vehicles, with about 5 foot wide, and were highly decorated with beautiful designs, ornamental embellishments, and shaped somewhat like a toboggan. They had no wheels and levitated about 2 feet off the ground and soared around through space at high rates of speed, going from one level to the other by the use of fantastic elevators. His main contact companion was called Baldaspor. Baldaspor told him that there was only one race of Realisporians, and they were homogeneous, meaning that they were male and female combined in one entity. Clint said he was quite amazed, as he thought they all were more feminine to him than masculine, because they were so beautiful in a very feminine way. There was no children on Realispor. All propagation is taken care of on another sister planet in their system. The children are groomed and trained until they reach what they call maturity, which is about 40 years, when they take extensive examinations, and after passing, they are transported in huge fleets of spaceships to Realispor, where they spend the remainder of their life, for the most part, enjoying what the Creator has furnished for them to enjoy. You can see beautiful, diffusing, etheric colors that seem to flow in the very atmosphere itself. This actually is Realisporian music. Music here is entirely different from on Earth, where we only hear and feel music. The Realisporians hear, feel, smell, taste, and see music with all their senses simultaneously. Music on Realispor is a part of their setup, as much a part of their life as the atmosphere they breathe. They believe in a supreme being, just as many of us do here on Earth. There is no such thing as crime there. Therefore, they have no police. There are no accidents, sickness, disease. Therefore, no doctors or hospitals. There's no such thing as pain. Therefore, no need for pills, medicines, or narcotics. Also, tobacco and liquor are unknown there. Each individual is evolved to the point, metaphysically, of being able to govern himself. Therefore, there are no boundaries, races, creeds, religions, dogmas, embargoes, tariffs, In fact, they do not even have money there, as everything is provided. There are no negative or obnoxious odors of any kind. Every scent and fragrance is pleasant to smell. Likewise, there are no negative sounds of any kind, such as violent noise, screaming, screeching, barking, howling, meowing, and braying of donkeys. Sirens, explosions, guns, thunders, or discordant sound of any kind are unknown there. There is nothing unpleasant or obnoxious to mar the overall picture of beauty on this planet. Since there is no such thing as disintegration, there is no refuge or refuse or waste on the planet. The principle of NTD controls the principle of dematerialization. For example, when a leaf falls off a tree on Rillaspore, it never hits the ground, being dematerialized after it leaves the ground. Needless to say, their philosophy is based on love. And since this is the case, there are no soldiers, no armies, guns, deadly weapons of any kind. As far as their mental makeup goes, they have so completely learned the principle of love that no anger, resentment, jealousy, impatience, intolerance, dishonesty, greed, lust, avarice, uncleanliness, disloyalty, irresponsibility, laziness, carelessness, slothfulness, hypocrisy, hoarding, and many other emotions which commonly prevail here on earth. Therefore, it is quite understandable that there would not need to be any form of government. How nice. The fact being that Rillasporians are all adults and that they are all homogeneous, there's no sex there as they know it, or as we know it here. Therefore, there is no such thing as personal love, romance as we know it on earth. No marriage, raising of families, divorce, schools, home, life as we know it here. That changes a lot. So, this is what he had to say about Rillaspore. And it sounds so beautiful. And I have to say that other accounts that people have mentioned about being on different density planets, many of this is very similar to what I've heard before, and, especially about the motherships, how the insides are created so that you feel like you're basically just on a planet. You can't even tell that you're not on a flat planet or a round planet. It feels flat. And also, the NTD, nuclear thermodynamics, that they were talking about is interesting because I can't remember where I heard this, but I remember there was somebody that was talking about fifth density beings who, as you ate food, it would disintegrate. Oh, I know what it was. It was actually the fourth density. Excuse me. There was a gentleman that goes out of his body, travels out of his body, Preston Tennant, and he was talking about on the other side you can eat as much as you want, and it goes down your throat, and you taste it and all that, but it disintegrates. It doesn't go any further, and so therefore, there is no need for material waste because that's how everything is. So that's kind of interesting because on the other side, it is, when you take out of body, it's usually into the fourth dimension, which could be lower astral or higher astral. But so it's almost like being on other planets, of which I always wonder and think that perhaps that's what the astral world is. There are other planets, but in that dimension, that fourth dimension, and then there are other planets in higher dimensions. They also, the other thing that's kind of interesting that reminded me of other things that I've heard is, about the animals. Animals all getting along together. They don't eat each other because they don't need to eat. Nobody really eats. If anybody's eating anything, it's like some beautiful fruits and what have you. And also about having to go to school. I think it's Andromedans. In fact, it's very interesting to read about the Andromedans because they are white skin, or they have either white or light blue skin, and they stand from anywhere from 4 feet to 8 feet tall. So that's quite a difference. They don't speak; they're telepathic, and there's beautiful 28 races are part of the Andromedans. And, Andromeda is the galaxy that's a few billion miles away from us, or 2.5 million light years away from Earth, I should say. And it's one of the largest galaxies in the local group. And it has 700 billion solar masses, and it's actually moving towards us and will collide with us pretty soon, like 2.5 billion years. But anyway, the Andromedans, they don't have an economy. Everybody's given just what they need to evolve, which is just like what we read or heard. And the involvement of spirit is what they're all about. The Andromedans go to school for 120 to 150 years. And they're taught all the major sciences, all the arts, and all everything, having to do with everything. And they finally choose what they want to do after 150 years. Hopefully they know by then. And they can change that if they want. But the purpose is to, the evolution of the soul and life. And so they're given whatever it is that they need to do that. And there's no crime there, of course. Everybody's mostly interested in education, not distraction. And they're not interested in other things too much. They just want to constantly evolve. They do not pay for their education. Art is creation to them. Lots of holographic technology, music of the universe. Music is the sounds of the planets, stars, systems, different constellations, sounds all layered together. And they're always amazed with us because we pull our ideas out of the air, whereas most of the other beings out there, they sort of mix things from what they were in the past. They can't create from nothing. So they're always amazed with the earthlings that they can do that. It is one of our talents. But the Andromedans also do not require much sleep, like, say the Pleiadians and Lyrans and these guys, the Rillisborians. And they are very healed. They have no night or day on their motherships, so they don't need that. They're always stretching themselves, trying to evolve by experiencing things. They're happy people, no extremes of emotions like us. And their goal of the race is, third, fourth, fifth density is to move to 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And now, 12th density. Nobody, understands anything above 12th density right now, actually. But they're in contact with essences from the 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensions. And as you go up, of course, it's nothing but just light. And they're very clairvoyant, telepathic. They're all healers, and they're taught all of the sciences. They're completely whole. They know who they are now. They know where they've been, reincarnational path. Each one of them knows they have a personal agenda. They know where they're going. But we have the same abilities, but we're behind them because of our manipulations. We've been manipulated intensely, our genetics and what have you, beginning 14,000 years ago. And thanks to the Orion group, manipulating our genetic structure. But anyway, the Andromedans do have a one-world government, so, it depends on who's running it, I suppose, as to how good that's going to be. And they're 4,700 years more advanced spiritually, on a spiritual level. And this is all according to Alex Collier, the information that he received over the years. 50,000 years technically more advanced than us. And the Andromedans are so pure genetically now that they are sort of having a genetic breakup. And that's what's happening out there. Many of the star beings that have tried to keep the genetics, pure, then they eventually have problems. They have problems. Things break up. So we're the only race to be able to help them, although we have a low consciousness level. Mostly because our real world government, the ones who are really in control of this planet, are doing all they can to keep our consciousness at that low place. And they're doing a great job of keeping us in fear. Plus, we're holding the polarity of war all the time. And that does not exist on other planets. So anyway, but the Andromedans are amazing because they just, they want to help us. They don't want to come here and fix our problems because, we're not doing it ourselves. And they can't baby us, and ask us to please change. It's got to come together from us, you know. They want us to evolve on our own. And if we do evolve, then they will, it'll have an effect on all of the galaxy. So, but the Andromedans began the Andromedan Council in 1980 at the bequest of the Pleiadians. Pleiadians are also fifth-level density beings, most of them. The Pleiadians have been interacting with Earth humans for many thousands of years. They also work with Sirius and ETs. And I work with the Pleiadians. I'm a Lyran, and the Lyrans are the ancestors of Earth people and the Pleiadians, and they live in Andromeda because Lyra is not inhabitable, so they've moved into the Andromedan galaxy. So some of this stuff would be perhaps home planet for some of you out there as well as myself. But the Andromedans Council is a political body, and everywhere as you go up the structures of all the different levels, there are hierarchies and there are rules and regulations, sort of, you might say, to keep things in order. There's order out of chaos. So, so they have this Andromedan Council, and it has 133 races, but over 1,200 races that could be part of the council, like, United Nations. And the Andromedans Council goal is to facilitate all life forms to evolve without manipulation. They are here because we have serious problems here. We have approximately 21 or more years of oxygen left, they say, because we used to have 35%. And in 1995, we had less than 18%. So you need at least 15% to survive on the surface. So I tell you, I think Las Vegas has like 12%. But anyway, I feel like I can't breathe here. But that's a negative statement, so I will extract that later. No, I'll extract it right now. Cancel later. So, continuing. But the Andromedans, they are part of all of the many races that are out there, our brothers and sisters watching us from afar, wanting to be of assistance to us because it's important that we take care of this planet. This is a very important planet. It's like a library of genetics for not just humans, but plants and animals and everything from all over the system. And we've done a great job of, messing that up, unfortunately. But we should love Mother Earth. She's a being, and she wants to lift up into fifth density. So that's why those of us who want to go with her should be, sort of flowing in that beautiful, positive love flow. That's how we do that. And if you are in that love flow, then you're resonating at these higher frequencies that the fifth density is resonating, And but it's hard because we've had so many different races come here and mess with us, And the first ones were the Alpha Draconians, and we've been colonized for hundreds of years, and the Alpha Draconians would be considered like bad angels in the Bible against the good angels, which are the humans. So bad angels, whom were the reptilians or the Draconians, were in a war with the human race, and this war lasted 600,000 years. So it was fought in our galaxy between human races versus bad reptilians, and there was no winner. An undeclared truce was formed by the Orion group, and humans and other life forms, they're all part of sort of the Andromedan Council. But the Draconians do not want us to go into fourth or fifth density. They are only third density beings, and they will lose control over us if we do. So that's another reason why it would be good to shift. But, there's the Greys that would love to have our stock, our genetic stock, and, there's just a lot of others, and we really need to wake everybody up, and the way we do that is, I think, through meditation. The more you meditate, the more you raise the frequency of just not yourself, but everybody around you. And so meditation is the secret to finding consciousness, accessing consciousness within yourself. That's what I mean when I say finding it within yourself. It is there. It's in the center of your chest. It's a very powerful area, and that's sort of the seat of the soul. So you want to go down into that area when you meditate. Just make yourself feel as though you're getting smaller and smaller and drift down into alpha level of meditation and sit in the center of your heart and just breathe in and out. And it's just a beautiful place. And you can manifest from there, make things happen, and send out love to people, especially people that are annoying you. That's a great way to change things around you. Send out love, and as annoying as it might be to you, just do it as a little test of just to see what happens, because you'll be amazed at how things will change and move in your direction in a much more positive flow for you with that person that's been annoying you. So annoy them with good, loving, forgiving energy and see what happens. It is amazing. So anyway, I just wanted to go over information that has been given to me and, that I've been channeled with as far as different realms and what it's like and how beings are out there, because we could be in that place if, we weren't being controlled. And the only way to get away from that control is, first of all, meditation to set yourself and put yourself in harmony with the universe. And then second of all, make little changes, find out what's going on, the reality of what's going on. YouTube, a lot of amazing information. David Icke is amazing, and David Koch, and just, so many amazing people out there telling the truth about what's really going on, and make those little changes, make the big changes if you can. But, again, if anybody has heard anything about how to get a hold of Clint Carey's book, Spaceman, Volume 1 and Volume 2, please let me know, because I would love to get access to that book, those two books. I only have the second one, and I just love the information. It gives me hope that there is actually an amazing place to live, and I'm going to be there really soon. Not that soon, but pretty soon. So anyway, I'm going to thank all of you for listening one more time, and don't forget to meditate and send love out to Mother Earth. And this is Desert Mermaid, Carole Michaella, signing off. Till next time. Bye.